Hi, welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. It's been a few days again. These winter colds are killer, but it is finally time for the beginner's block for February. Last month we had our January mittens, and I did a series of 3 videos to help true beginners start with the hooking and just knowing what your supplies were and what you're meant to do to get started, what a logical order for getting started would be, and the pattern for the January mittens. But this month we have our February pattern, and for those of you that are going to go through the year with me and do each of these 10 by 10 patterns for the different months, by the end of the year we're going to have our 12, and in December even, we can put them all together like a, if you're a quilter, like a Baltimore quilt, just like a whole album of the year, which would be so nice. So this is going to be February. I'm just finishing it up myself, almost there. Been working on a lot of stuff. And this pattern is called Conversation Hearts, like the little old-fashioned candies. I had a lot of these colors, and I thought, oh, it's going to be so good to make a pattern with these beautiful pastels for this month. Everybody knows what these hearts are. They're very recognizable and iconic as candies, really signify Valentine's Day and February. So there's a few things about this pattern that I want to tell you. I've done most of it. I haven't done all of it, and that was partly on purpose, because for beginners, I just wanted you to know the order that makes the most sense to do this pattern in. So there's a few things to say about this, and that yours will be better, and I'm going to tell you why. I took the colors that I had that were the sort of pastel colors. My bright ring light here is making it a bit more vivid than I think it is. This blue is not nearly as dark as it's showing on my screen anyway. These are real pastel colors, very like the Conversation Hearts themselves. In fact, we dyed this bulky worsted type wool to say, hey you, XOXO, text me, red hot, love bug, and be mine. We dyed it a special color of pink that I thought really was the closest to the text on the candies. So that was how crazy and OCD I've become about this kind of thing. But we had these colors laying around, and I started putting it together very, very quickly so that I could offer the pattern and record this video. And I found that, at least for the pink, I thought that the wool was too thin and I should have washed it first. And now I've washed all of the wools. So I hooked my pink, and I think it's a bit too tight and crazy and just thin. It didn't come out super well, the hooking of particularly the pink heart. And it also didn't take the words very well because it was just too tight and packed, the nature of working with a really thin wool. So in your kits, you are going to have these colors, but now I've washed them, and they're nice and thick and mushy and fluffy and fat, and they're going to be great to hook with. The other ones are a bit fatter, but the pink one particularly needed a bit of oomph, so it's got it now. So one of the things about hooking, every month I was going to put in a different kind of medium to hook with, and this month it's the dyed yarn. And when you hook with yarn, it's traditionally called New England rug hooking or Nantucket rug hooking. So if you think about Claire Murray and her kits, they have always been the thick yarn. It is still rug hooking. It's the exact same thing. It's just as nice. It's just as easy. You get a very easy feel for it. So this month, this hand-dyed pink is going to be in your kit so that you can do this lettering all in pink. One of the things about, so that was the material that's a little bit different. It's not the straight cut wool. And by the way, this is cut in a 5, like January mittens. The technique this month, remember last month it was like the swirlies. We drew the swirlies with the black Sharpie, and we added swirlies in the background, and it was to show you, if you're a beginner, that you can draw directly on your pattern, whether it's monk's cloth or burlap or linen, like this is linen, and your patterns are linen. But you can draw directly on it with a black Sharpie. Just make sure it's a black Sharpie so that it doesn't bleed. Other colors will bleed. This month, the technique is lettering, because lettering can be hard, and it can be tricky. And the reason this looks funny the way it is right now is because I'm showing you how to hook the lettering in a way that you're going to be the most happy with it. And the way is to hook it first in scrap. And for example, this is my scrap, this terrible chenille green. I just hooked everything in this green first, and then all of them were hooked in green first because it's serving as a placeholder. And when you have your letters hooked in any scrap color, you then are able to pull it out on the back. So I'm going to see if I can do this here on the camera. It's ripping my sweater as we go. Why not, right? Extreme glasses. So I'm going to be pulling it out on the back. I could do it more technically with my tweezers or whatever. And this is chenille. It was just the crappiest thing I had at hand, which is really saying something. So I'm pulling out the green with my finger right now just to be quick. And you'll see on the front, it's just disappearing. It's leaving a nice big gap. And in that gap, you now, because the green scrap served as a placeholder, you now will be able to hook your proper pink, right? The pink yarn that comes in your kit. And it's going to look that much nicer because now that the letters are worked around it, I'm pulling the fluff out of the front because this was chenille. You can see a little shadow, a little hollow of where your letter's going to go. And it's going to look a lot nicer. For example, if you look at Hey You, it's pretty clear and sharp. I haven't hooked around it yet. XOXO. They come out much better. Not so much this one, like I said, because I should have washed this first, and yours will be washed. But it just comes out much nicer and much crisper. So that I have found, I have read, I've been told is the key to hooking lettering, is to hook it first in scrap. You can even hook it in one of your other colors in the kit. And then once you work around it, pull it out, rehook it in your final pink, the yarn in this case. Now, I love hooking words. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing. Patterns with words are my favorite. And the way that I found that out was by going to a house tour at Beauport, which is on Cape Ann. It's in Gloucester, Mass. And when I went on that house tour, it was particularly a rug hooking, like a hooked rug tour, where we looked just at the collection of rugs that are there, which were tremendous and really numerous. And by the way, we are planning another rug hooking tour this spring in both Beauport and Cogswell Grant. Both houses have huge collections of primitives, particularly hooked rugs that are exceptionally nice. But when I did this tour last spring, summer, Happy DeFranza, who's a well-known rug hooker and pattern maker, was there restoring one of their rugs. And that rug was by James and Mercedes Hutchinson. And when I saw this rug, it was a little bit far gone. It was on burlap. And the best sort of course of action for her was to rehook it, re-dye all the colors, start from scratch to replicate it. So she was making a replica rug of this famous James and Mercedes Hutchinson rug. And it was just the nicest looking rug. It's on my photo album on our page, the Southern New England rug hooking, rug braiding, punch needle page. And it will be on again when we do the tour again. I'll take closer photos of it because I'm sure it's finished by now. But it really turned me on to this couple who were making hooked rugs, working out of a little apartment in Brooklyn in the 1920s to the 1950s. And they were really well known for hooking rugs with words, particularly such a cool looking couple too for the 20s, 30s. This is them. Look at this. I mean, did people even look like that back in those? Not that it was prehistoric, obviously, but I think they look exceptionally chic and cool. But their rugs are known for having words, and many of them are lost. This is the book that was put out. It's by their name, right? Rug Hooking Traditions with Mercedes and James Hutchinson. And this is an incredible academic piece of work documenting all the known rugs and the rugs that are missing. But these rugs are really well known for their text and often a bit risque, which is kind of funny. Things about honeymoons and being alone, this kind of thing. But they are really well known for hooking text. And if you see rugs with text when you're out and about on your adventures, just take a second look at them, because if there's any chance it's one of these lost rugs, that would be a really big deal. And what a wonderful find. So in terms of looking at text in rugs, I really highly recommend this book. And I also really recommend this book. It just came out. I got it for Christmas. Hooked on Words by Ellen Banker. There's a lot of work of different artists in here, including, now I'm going to forget, Bev Conway, because she came to one of our recent ATHA meetings in Connecticut, and she has a chapter in here about hooking on the back of a rug a secret message. And it was from her first that I heard about this idea of hooking first in scrap, and then pulling it out once you have all your work around it, and then rehooking it so that it's perfect and nothing is closing in on it, nothing is slanted over it, nothing is diagonally pushing it, crushing it, mutating it. It's just perfect because it's the last thing you do, and it really makes it pop. That tip is in here with a lot of other tips. This is a collection. It's a nice book about various rug hooking artists, designers who are known for hooking words and what their techniques are and some of their stories behind their rugs. But between these two books, if you enjoy hooking words and you maybe write your own verses or you like verses from old postcards, these for me are the two best books that are about words. And seeing how you can sort of put a composition together using words as a main part of the composition. So this is going to come out tomorrow. Conversation Hearts, our February block. It's on linen. It's going to come with all of these colors. The background, this is going to be the lilac, so I'm going to finish that first thing in the morning. I'm going to pull out my scrap. I'm going to work around them, and I'm going to I'm going to redo this one too with the pink. And then I'm going to finish the background in white. So this is this month's block, February Conversation Hearts. And again, the special material is the dyed pink bulky wool. And the special technique this month is working on words in your composition, in your hooking. So I hope that this is a fun one this month. And just as an FYI, I first hooked the outline of the hearts for beginners. I think I started with the pink one. I hooked the outline and then I filled it in. Actually, the first thing I did was hook in the scrappy words. And then I did the outlines first and I worked in. I worked around the words when I got kind of halfway, and then I met in the middle in the little sort of circumference between the border and the words. So I worked around the words, I did the border, and then I filled it in. That was the order I did for the hearts. It doesn't matter what order you do the hearts in, but I'm doing the white backgrounds last. The reason I didn't do this purple heart was because I wanted to show you really clearly what it looks like when your scrap is serving as a placeholder until you've gotten the background filled in. So it's a purple, a peach, a pink, a light blue, a mint green, and a lemon yellow heart. Conversation Hearts. So anyway, I'll post this tomorrow for anybody that wants the kit. And I'll post some more videos later this week. This one is not going to have how-tos as you go because the first one did. But if you have any questions, please put them in the thread or contact me on our Facebook page or any way. I'm always around. And let me know how you like this month's block. I already have a great idea for next month's block, and I'm hoping that they're cheerful and easy. And I'm mostly hoping that they're building your confidence as a hooker, especially if you're, that didn't sound so good, but we all know that joke. Especially if you're a new hooker, it's great to work on new techniques and build your confidence because it's just experience and practice in your hands going through the motions that make you better at hooking. And it's just a matter of time. Sooner rather than later, you will be fantastic. If you feel you're not now, you will be. And for me, technique doesn't matter as much as design and color and enjoying what you're doing with your hands and just being still and working on something in the tradition of our grandmothers, great-grandmothers. It's just a fun thing to do, so stick with it. And let me know if you have any questions. See you soon.